Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Hold On Till Dawn podcast. I'm your host, Erin, and today I wanted to talk to you about why suicide prevention, why mental health. And the reason for me, it started when I was 6 years old. I grew up with my father having depression, and obviously, I was little at the time, and I did not understand what that meant. I just knew that that meant that he would take naps in the middle of the day, and sometimes we would do something, but Dad wasn't going to come because he was sad or whatever reason. And honestly, thinking back on it, I feel like I thought that was normal because I didn't know any different, I guess. I thought that Dad is just sad. It's not anything to be worried about, concerned about. It doesn't mean anything ominous. So, cut to 1997 summer. I remember having my camp was ending for the week, and it was a theater camp, so we had a performance, and I remember wanting my dad to be there that Friday when we had the show, and he wasn't, and I was a little bit bummed. And I remember going home and sitting at the bottom of the steps when I got home, and my mom went upstairs to go talk to my dad. He must have been in bed sleeping or something like that, resting, and she must have just said, something like, "Erin really wanted you to be there. What can I do to help? What can we do?" And they decided, or my mom decided, I guess, to go to Cape Cod. Our family had a house there, and so we went for the weekend. And so the morning started with my dad dropping us off at the beach, which is what he would do. He would take the car, we'd go to the beach, he'd drop us off, me, my mom, and my almost 2-year-old sister. And then he would drive back to the house, and then he was a runner, so he would jog to the beach and spend the day with us there. So that day, he did not meet us at the beach. And I'm not sure if it's quite possible that my mom kind of had a feeling that something was wrong, but I don't think she thought too much into it. I think she just thought that he was at the house and he didn't make it. I don't know. So I remember we walked back. It wasn't too far, maybe 10, 15-minute walk, but with a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old, I'm sure that was not pleasant for my mom. So we walked back to the house. We walked in the entryway, and I think my mom called out, "David?" And there was no answer. So she went to check into the house. She told me and my sister to stay in the entryway. She was like, "Nana doesn't like it when we have sand in the house, so you guys are going to wait right here and I'll be right back." So she went to check on him, and it was too late. He killed himself. And everything after that is kind of a blur, but the one thing that sticks in my mind from that day is my mom taking me and my sister to the neighbor, and I didn't know what was going on. And she left us at the neighbor's house and then went back home. And I just remember standing, looking out their front door, their screen door, and just like, when is mom coming home? Like, I don't know these people. I don't know what's happening, but something's wrong. This feels weird. I remember them saying, I think there were other kids there, and I remember them saying, Erin gets to have soda. And it was just like, that's weird because I'm not allowed to have soda. I thought, I think that's when I knew something was not right, because they were treating me specially. And I was like, I just want my mom. I want to go home. So when my mom finally came back, and took me and my sister back to the house, I guess she didn't tell my sister she was 2. Honestly, I don't know. But she at least told me that my dad had died and he wasn't coming back. And at 6 years old, definitely did not comprehend that, understand it at all. But I remember after she told me that, like, the first thing that like popped in my head was, well, where was the last place he was? And thinking back on it, I think I thought he was going to be there. Like, I knew he was dead, but I thought that he was going to be there in the room. So I said, can you show me it? And she did, but he obviously wasn't there. They took him to the, I believe the neighbor had my mom call 911, even though she's a nurse practitioner, and she had told me, she said, I knew he had been dead for hours and there was no bringing him back. But I think the neighbor was a cop and he was just like, we got to call 911. So they did bring him to the emergency room, and that's what had taken my mom so long to get back. But so he was, in the morgue, and being 6, I don't know, I just thought he would be in the last room he was in. So we went in, I looked around. Maybe I was looking for a reason why, too. And there was nothing there. So we left the room and I closed the door behind us, and that was that. It wasn't until maybe a little less than 10 years ago where I actually felt like I was processing my dad's death. And it was like I started thinking about all the things that I would be missing out on, like having a dad to call when your car is being wonky, having a dad walk you down the aisle at your wedding, things that I didn't think of when I was 6. Having a dad that turns into a grandfather. Just all the things that I was never going to have. And that was a hard time for me. I went back to therapy because I needed to work through the grieving process. And I did. And I think it was around that time that I found the AFSP. I had no idea that there was a foundation that was supporting suicide prevention and funding mental health. And that was one of the most exciting things. One of the most exciting days of my life was when I found them. And I saw that they did these Out of the Darkness walks. My first one was in 2015, I believe, in Philadelphia. And ever since I found them, I've been so motivated to raise money for them and raising money to put towards things that aid mental health, because no one should have to lose someone to suicide. No one should think that they are better off not in this world. And it's so important to check in on people and go to therapy and check in on yourself and know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to feel sad and depressed and go through all these terrible emotions, because that is what makes you you. That is what gets you through to the next moment of life, and things will get better. They might feel like they're not, but they will. I have been through my share of depressed times. I have depression. I have anxiety. And I know what it's like to feel like I don't want to feel like this anymore. I want this to stop. I want the pain to stop. I want the sadness to stop. But ending your life is not the way to have it stop. And that was the whole point of Hold On Till Dawn. It was one of my fundraising efforts for the AFSP, which is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And I'm going to do a whole other episode talking about that, but I just wanted this episode to be about why the AFSP, why suicide prevention, because I lost my dad to it. There have been moments in my life where I've thought about ending it, and I've known too many people to die from suicide. And it needs to stop. And I hope that this podcast, even if it could just reach one person, then it's done its job. So truly know that you're not alone, because you're not. And on that note, I'm going to end this episode there, and I will see you all next time. Thank you so much for listening. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. Our website is holdontilldawn.com, and our email is holdontilldawn@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at holdontilldawn and on Facebook at Hold On Till Dawn Benefit Concert. See you next time.